Good morning and welcome to today's morning movement session. This is going to be 20 to 30 minutes of gentle mobility designed for seniors, but available for anyone who wants to loosen up your joints, improve your mobility a little bit, and have you feeling ready for the day. All that you need is some space and a yoga mat. So we'll go ahead and get started with our first circuit. As we've been continuing to do, starting off with a little neck mobility feels really nice. So we're going to first look to the side, look to the other side, and then look down, tucking your chin. So one of each to the side, other side, and down. So starting nice and easy, just a gentle stretch on each side of the neck and looking down, really trying to draw your chin towards your chest. Taking your time, going at your own pace, making sure not to rush through as we do one more in each direction. And down. Very good. Second one, we're going to do a overhead mobility, starting with our hands intertwined, and then just stand with your feet about hip distance apart. Starting with hands here, I'm just going to raise them up overhead as far as I can without arching my back, and then come back down. So how far up over your head or slightly behind your head you'll get depends on your shoulders, your mobility. So just be gentle with it, don't force it. We'll have a second round to try to get maybe a little bit extra range of motion. So for now, just keep those fingers interlaced and keep this movement nice and smooth, especially in that challenging part. If you need to bend your elbows a little bit at the top, you can, but try to keep your arm mostly straight. And if you need to, just pull on the fingers to help you get that extension overhead while keeping the arm straight. Reach up. And we'll do one more, a great one to do in the morning. And rest. Very good. And then switching our focus to the lower body, we're going to do a slow eccentric squat. So the eccentric is just the lowering part of a movement. And I'm going to have my feet about a shoulder width distance apart, a little wider than hip width. And then I'm going to take about 3 or 4 seconds to lower down, like I'm sitting down to a chair, and then come back up. How far you lower down depends on you. You don't need to go down as far as I do, but if you feel like you can do that range of motion with control, go for it. And some things to think about while doing this are keeping your knees in line with your big and second toes. That's what's going to help us get some hip mobility as we sink down and come back up. So again, the down is the part that's slow. If it's comfortable for you to keep a slow pace coming back up, that's okay. But we're really just focused on sinking down into that stretch. Knees are pushing out and come back up. One more time here. Sinking down, knees are pushing outward and come back up. Very nice. Alrighty, so as per usual, we're going to repeat all of these for one more time. So going back to the top with our neck mobility, again, just standing with your feet hip distance apart, and it's looking to the right, looking to the left, and then tucking the chin. This time, if you want to slightly look over your shoulder on each side, you can extend that range of motion a little bit. And then really think about tucking that chin down towards kind of right in between your collarbones is what we're aiming for. Side. Follow that gaze with your eyes. We'll do 2 more of each side, side, and down. Last one, side, side, and down. Very nice. Alrighty, then back to our second one, that overhead mobility with the hands interlaced. Again, feet still just hip distance apart. You could even do this one seated if you needed to. Smooth line, dragging the arms overhead, but make sure that you don't slip into arching your back at the top. Just showing you what not to do would be to kind of lose all of that straight torso position. Keep that locked in so that the mobility work stays in your shoulders. And come back down. Really smooth movements up and down. Keeping that arm straight-ish. And don't force that range of motion. Just get to that natural point of resistance for your body, wherever it may be. I tend to have a little more mobility in my shoulders, so don't compare where you get to where I get or to where anyone else gets. All of our bodies are different and have their natural limits that we want to listen to, especially with mobility. One more time for this. Up and down. Very good. And then that third one is our slow eccentric squat again, taking a little bit of a wide stance, maybe even trying an inch wider than you did last time. And then when you're ready, sink down, think knees pushing apart. Depending on how tight your hips or adductors are, you might really feel that stretch inside the legs as you lower down. We're lowering down slowly. Make sure your whole foot stays on the ground. We're not lifting the heels at any point or lifting the toes. We have that foot firmly pressing into the ground, staying nice and flat. Good. You'll notice, especially at whatever your lowest point is, which may not be as low as mine, that's when we really want to make sure the knees stay outward and you'll feel that stretch the most. Lower down, slow. And one more time, lower down slow. And come back up. Very good. Alrighty, we're gonna head down onto the floor for our second circuit. So find a nice comfy place to lay down, whether it's carpet or a yoga mat. And we're gonna start in a hands and knees position. So if you need to fold up your yoga mat for a little extra cushion or put a pillow over your knees, you certainly could. And what we're going to do is just the hip part of a cat-cow. So we're isolating this movement. Normally a cat-cow involves rounding and arching throughout the whole spine. But today we're going to start with a flat back, and then I'm going to tuck my hips under. And then I'm going to go back to flat or a gentle arch if that feels okay. Then flat, tuck the hips under, back to flat, and gentle arch if that feels okay. So we're really focusing on keeping the rest of the body still. Might feel like a little bit of a coordination exercise, but we're keeping all of that mobility and movement in our pelvis, practicing some control and awareness there. Flat, gentle arch, flat, and tuck the hips under. One more time, flat, gentle arch, flat, and tuck the hips under. Very good. You'll get another time to practice that in a moment, but for our second exercise, we'll go down onto your back with the knees bent. Find a comfortable position on the floor. If you'd rather have your legs out straight, that's okay. And we're going to do a pull down with our arms. So I'm going to start with hands overhead. If you need to have your hands off the ground because that's more comfortable, feel free. And then we're going to just bend the elbows like we're doing the lat pull down machine at the gym, if you're familiar with that, and then reach the arms back overhead. I'm pulling the elbows down towards my sides and reaching back up. And so with this one, we want to keep our arms as close to the floor as is comfortable and doable. So they don't need to be entirely on the ground. Mine are hovering above the ground, but if this is a little more challenging for your shoulders, here I'm showing you keeping the hands a little further away from the floor. Pulling the elbows down, reaching the arms back up. Last time, pulling the elbows down and reaching up as far as your body will let you. And rest. Good. And then for our third one, we're going on to our side with our feet tucked, knees bent, resting on one elbow. If that's uncomfortable, you could just lie on your side on the floor. But with this, we're going to do a heel-toe clamshell type of movement. So I'm going to tap my toes together and then tap my knee while lifting my foot. This is external rotation of the hip, internal rotation of the hip. So the foot is just a byproduct of what the knee is doing or what the action we're trying to get at the hip. So think internally rotate, externally rotate, or if it's more helpful to just focus on the foot, it's often a very helpful cue. Tap and feet, knee, toe. One more time, knee, toe. Bonus one, actually one more, knee and toe. Very good. And then find your way onto your other side. You can flip over or switch like so. Keep a long neck, make sure you're not collapsing down into the shoulder. Feet are bent back towards your hips and your glutes. And then toe tap, knee tap. Toe, internally rotate at the hip, tap the toes, internal rotate, external rotate. In, out, two more times, going at your own pace if you need to. Last one, and rest. Very good. Alrighty, take a moment to take a breath and then meet me back in our tabletop position for that isolated hip mobility of our cat-cow. So finding that flat back position, and then when you're ready, tucking the hips only under, then flat, and then gentle arch. Pass through flat as you tuck the hips under, and then find your way back to that gentle arch, or if the arch doesn't feel good, you can stop at flat. Rest of the body stays still. You can even think about what muscles you feel supporting this movement. A little bit of core, a little bit of lower back and spinal erectors. Maybe you even feel some deeper parts of your core kicking on to help with this coordination of the movement. We'll do two more. Tuck under and gentle arch. Last one, hips under and gentle arch. Very nice. Alrighty, then back to our second one. Opportunity to rest on your back and take a breath for just a moment. Knees are bent. Take a big inhale and exhale. And we'll get started on that pull down. So elbows pull down to the sides, reaching the arms back up. Imagining you're pulling like on that cable lap pull down machine and straightening the hands back overhead. Seeing if this time maybe the arms are able to stay a little bit closer to the floor. And just meet your body wherever it's at. Sometimes shoulders feel a little bit tighter one day. It's a good excuse just to tune into how the body's feeling. We'll do two more. Reach and pull. Last one, reach and pull. Very good. Alrighty. Then make your way onto your side for that hip internal and external rotation again, with that elbow right underneath the shoulder, long neck and torso position. Feet are bent back. And then when you're ready, knee to knee, toe to toe. Rotating in and externally rotating. Taking your time, make sure to breathe throughout this one. You might even feel a little bit of glute work going on, specifically that glute medius. It's great to hit both that internal and external rotation at the hip in one fell swoop. 2 more. Last one. Rest. Good. Might start to feel a tiny bit like work. As we go to the other side, take a breath, and then when you're ready, toe to toe, knee to knee. Maybe seeing if you can lift up your foot a tiny bit more to get a little bit more internal rotation on this second round. Going at your own speed, try to make sure that your torso and everything else is staying as still as you can. We'll do 3, 2, and 1. Rest. Very nice. Alrighty, we're done with the floor portion. So make your way back up to standing. And as soon as we get there, we're going to start with a little bit of ankle mobility. So we're going to have feet just hip distance apart for this one, and optional balance support. I'm going to try without, but feel free to hold on. And then we're going to raise up onto the toe, and then lift the toes to rock back onto the heels. If you feel like you're a little more comfortable lifting the toes using that balance support, feel free. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Or if you want a little balance challenge, try without, just a little lift of the toes. And onto the toes and onto the heels. 2 more, lift. And last one, lift and rest. Very good. All right, second one, we're going to do a little hip hinge in a hands behind the head position. So just gently have your fingertips behind your head. Don't interlace your fingers on this one too much. And then feet are hip distance apart. We're going to reach our hips back for a hip hinge, letting the knees bend as we reach back, and then come back up to the top. It's controlled both directions as we reach the hips back and push them forward. Reach the hips back and push forward. Taking your time, aim to feel a hamstring stretch. And your knees can kind of increase their bend as you're reaching the hips back. Keeping this a hip dominant movement. One more time. Reach the hips and come back up. Very good. Righty, and our last one, going back to a little bit of shoulder mobility, posture work with some behind the back reaches. I'm going to start with my hands outstretched, and then I'm going to reach one up and one hand down, trying to meet my fingers or get as close. Maybe you end here. That's totally okay. Reaching one behind your head, one behind your back, passing through that T position in between. Not rushing it, and don't jerk to make your hands meet closer. Just naturally reach and find that point where the hands get as far as they can comfortably. That's our key, is not pushing past that natural limit. One more for each side. Reach, pass through the T. Last one, reach and rest. Very good. Alrighty, we've got one more round of these. So we're back to our heel lifts and toe lifts. Again, use some balance support if you'd like, or especially if it helps you feel like you get even more mobility. And we'll go into lifting onto the toes and lifting up the toes. Calf raise, heel rock, calf raise, rocking onto the heels. Lift, lift the toes, lift the heels. We'll do two more. Lift, rock onto the heels, lift, and rest. Good. Alrighty, we're in our right position for our hip hinge with our hands in this kind of prisoner hands behind the head position. Again, not really tightly interlocking your fingers, just resting them behind the head. And then when you're ready, we'll reach the hips back, slight bend in the knee, and reach back to the top. Tipping the torso over as hips move backward, and sending the hips forward to stand tall. Trying to get a little bit of a stretch in the hamstrings as you hinge over. And standing back up, maybe squeezing your glutes at the top. Almost there. We've got one more. Reach the hips back. And push them forward. Perfect. Alrighty, last one on our list for today, that behind the back reach. So again, start with your arms out and reach behind your back, pass through the T, and reach behind the back. Taking your time on this one, might feel those shoulders start to engage, feel a little bit of muscle work happening. Reach those fingertips together, but listen to that natural limit. It can be quite surprising how far the hands can or cannot go, especially one side to the other. So just listen to that natural resistance and meet your body where it's at. We'll do two more times on each side. Feel free to go right at your own pace. Last one for each. Big reach and rest. Very good. All right, nicely done. I hope that you feel a little bit warmed up and mobilized, ready to face your day. If you want more information specifically devoted for seniors, feel free to check us out on Instagram at Hello Strength Seniors. You can find that in the description box below and other ways to support these videos. And I'll see you next week for more morning mobility.